Unit 4, Sampling and Experimental Design Unit. And this is Lesson 2, What is a Statistical Question? Today in class, we discussed statistical questions, and we defined a statistical question as something where the answers can vary versus not vary. So, for instance, first of all, we went to these questions over here, and we define them as statistical or not statistical. For instance, which musical artist or group has the most downloads on iTunes? That's going to be a specific number that if you all looked up, if I give you the same data and you all looked it up, you're all going to get the same answer. Versus if I ask you, how many siblings do you have? And I ask every single person in the class, and Sally says 5, and Rohan says 4, and somebody else says 2, somebody else says 0. Anyway, everybody has their own answer, and so that would be a statistical question. So you can walk through all of these here, and you can see that each one of them, like who won the 2020 NBA championship, that's a specific answer, so it's not statistical. So then we went back and made some of our own statistical questions, and of course the statistical questions, the answers vary depending on who you ask. A non-statistical has one correct answer. So the basic thing is what we kind of try to learn today is the statistical questions are based on data that vary, and non-statistical questions answer with a single value that doesn't vary. Our learning target number 2 is I want you guys to see, as far as sampling, this kind of goes up to the sampling. Our population is our entire group. So for instance, Dawson High School is our entire population if I wanted to study them. The sample would be, if I wanted to study Dawson High School, it would be very difficult for me to ask a question to every single person in the high school because it's very large, and would be very time consuming. So maybe I would just do a random sample of 100 of the students. And the sample has to be every single person that's part of Dawson High School. I could not go over to Pearland High School and ask those people the question and then conclude this is what Dawson High School students believe, because they're not part of our population. However, if I did ask every single person, that is called a census. In America, we do a census every 10 years, or we count every single person in America. We attempt to. And that is what a census is. A census is not good for large groups of data because it's time consuming, it's expensive, it's very difficult. But if I wanted to know what type of cookies my class in 5th period wanted or liked or something, then I only have 31 students, so it's a small amount of data as far as census goes, and it would be very easy to ask every single person. So census is only good for smaller pieces of data, groups of data, not large, because it's difficult and expensive and impractical. Our learning target 3 is an observational study versus an experiment. Yesterday in class, we did an experiment. The experiment was the golf. That's where you impose a treatment where you're actually doing something. An observational study is like when the principals come in to observe me or any other teacher. They don't interact with me. They might say hi or something like that, but they sit down and they observe my lesson, and they don't do any interaction at all during the actual lesson. The check for understanding is, let's look at these here. Researchers at Columbia University randomly select 1,000 teenagers at the United States for survey. According to the ABC News article about the research, teenagers who eat with their families at least 5 times a week are more likely to get better grades. What statistical question do you think the researchers were trying to answer? So for teenagers, is there an association between frequency of eating dinner with their family and grades in school? This is a valid statistical question because the data is going to vary. The number of times the student eats with their family varies with each student that I ask. So if I ask you, how many times do you eat dinner with your family each week? That's going to be different for every single student in the class. I mean, you could have a similar answer as someone next to you, but it's not necessarily going to be the same. The population is all teenagers in the United States, and the sample was the 1,000 teenagers that surveyed, because somehow they were able to, again, this would be very difficult to do but we're just saying if they were able to do it, that's how it would be done. But the sample has to be part of the population. This is an observational study because I am not doing anything to the data. I am just asking a question, and no treatments are imposed. So this is the main thing. If I say observational study, no treatment. Experiment, treatment. So remember, the golf was a treatment because you guys did big putter, small putter. you did a comparison of putters, and you did the different balls and the different lengths to the holes, all the different things. But an observational study would be just here asking the students and said, okay, we're just doing a study to see how many times a week you ate dinner with your family. Okay, that's it for this lesson, and I hope you enjoyed it. Join me back for the next one. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.